Revolution. I was born in China, and I was saying to my friend Jack Strangeways, who's really a great writer, and he's really a dear friend of mine. So he suggested that the name of my bio should be From Mao to Now. And there's really been a lot of history in between. But I was born right into the communist revolution. My father had come here as a young man in 1940, 1 year before the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor. So he used to tell me about the travails of really being Asian in America at that time. And he said he used to really have to wear a, almost like a poster or a sign on his back saying, I'm Chinese, I'm not Japanese. Because, Asians would really go out and to the streets and they would get beaten up or, egged or stoned or whatever. So anyway, he worked very, very hard for about 7 years. And then he was working in a Chinese commercial laundry. And then he went back after 7 years and he felt that it was time to really take a bribe because he was close to 30 at that point. And in that culture, that's almost ancient. So anyway, he hopped on an ocean liner, went back to China. I'm from a very, very rural, provincial part of Guangdong province, which is really the southernmost province. And my ancestors are from Taishan, the Taishan region. And they were the first Chinese to really settle here in America. Actually, my own lineage, my great-great-grandfather took a part in the building of this great country of ours. He actually worked on the railroad near Sacramento. And, basically the old Chinese guys, they would really come here, work really, really hard, save enough money, and then go back to China to retire. And, so basically, that's what my father did. But, he was still a young man, so he went back and got married. And subsequently, my mother became pregnant with me and couldn't travel. And plus, I had a very elderly grandmother who, I became very attached to, of course. And so he left. He fled the country when he heard Mao was really coming south. And so he quickly registered me as a boy before I was born, probably giving me the, impetus to really, achieve and to accomplish in life. So anyway, my mother and I were trapped in China for basically 5.5 years. They were separated. They were separated for almost 7 years, actually. But we lived in Hong Kong. So my mother and I escaped the communists, and my mother really took a great, great leap of faith. She sewed her wedding into a little pillow. She sewed her wedding jewelry. And through the relatives, they had really made a deal with the border guard. And I remember clutching this little pillow very close to, me, and I was only 5.5 years old. And I remember her saying something like, there's something very important in there, so you really have to hang on to it very carefully. So we were walking in the dark, and I remember walking forever, and then she handed this pillow to the border guard, and he released us into safety. We were met by relatives on the other side, and we lived with them for about a year. I actually went up to first grade in Chinese school. And so then we had to really wait a little over a year before my father petitioned for both of us to come over here. And I was 6.5 years old, didn't really know one word of English when I came to this country. They put me back, half a year in the first grade because I didn't speak a word of English, but I quickly, was a fast learner. Anyway, I felt that I was really born an artist because I've always really, I always wanted to be I wanted to be a painter originally. I really wanted to really pursue a career in fine art. But basically because I came from a very traditional Chinese background, and the Chinese immigrants, just like all immigrants coming to this great country, They really have to create a new start. They really have to really sort of traverse a whole brand new frontier to really, brave a new world, so to speak. So my parents struggled, and they didn't really want me to struggle. They wanted me to have a very safe and predictable profession, like being a teacher or being, going into medicine or accounting or just something very predictable. But I knew that was not going to be for me. So they refused to really help me with my art education, because they were very conservative. And so I enrolled in this very sort of low-key, school, LA Trade Tech, which had a very, very small fashion department. And I, studied for probably just a few months. On my first month, I won a first-place scholarship that was really sponsored by a company called Arcasia. And they were sort of the BCBG of their era. This was many years ago. And so I left school and went straight to work, and I've been working ever since. So I've been really designing professionally since I was 19 years old. So most people really think that I'm ancient, and maybe I am. But I just really think that I'm a very well-seasoned professional at this point. And I feel that I'm at the top of my game now after so many decades of really practicing my art, because, fashion is my art. I didn't really get a chance to be a painter in life, but I have a feeling that's really coming up for me when I retire one of these years to my beautiful place in Hawaii or something like that. So it's still coming up, and I still have a lot of vision and a lot of, dreams to manifest, and I just really feel that life is really, really great right now. So let me just tell you a little bit about my fashion philosophy. I do clothes, that honor the goddess, because I really feel that within every woman dwells a goddess. And so I really help her with these clothes to really find her inner goddess. And the bottom line is that my clothing really is about the goddess, because they're very, very ultimate. They're sort of like the essence and the spirit of the feminine divine. So, ladies, how do you feel in my clothes? Brandeis has been my model for probably 12 years. So, Brandeis, take this microphone and why don't you describe how it feels?
Well, I can say that when I arrived an hour ago, I was a completely different human being. So basically, as soon as I put on one of her dresses and get in hair and makeup, it's true transformation. And I feel like a goddess, and I feel like a woman, and I feel beautiful. I didn't feel quite like that when I arrived in my normal clothes, but it's amazing because I see photos too, and it's like I'm absolutely transformed in seasons. So I appreciate getting every opportunity I can for them.
Thank you, Brenda. That was very good. So, Jessica, how do you feel in Wong?
I feel very good. I feel very fancy. Same thing. I feel like almost the instant you put it on, it's like you're a new character. Like you're just a sophisticated person, like curves, and it just feels good. Right?
Thank you. So, my mantra for my company, for my brand, is beauty, period, magic, period, transformation, period. And what that really means is the following. What I really try to do is really create beauty, and the alchemy of beauty is magic. And because magic has the power to transform, I like to really think that when a woman puts on a Wong, she's magically transformed into a goddess or fantasy of her choice. So my clothes are really about beauty, they're really about glamour, they're really about magic, they're really about honoring the goddess, and they're also sexy, but in a classy way. So I know that women really feel good in my clothes, clothes, and to me, that's really empowering. And I know that men enjoy looking at women in my clothes, and that's also a good thing. So you can really see how the clothing really, really suits the environment of this really beautiful home. So I'm going to really describe these outfits so the girls can change, and then I'm going to open up the session to a Q&A. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to really answer any of it for you. And then I'm going to really go through, room by room. I think there's probably too many people to take a tour and describe each room, and then you can really wander around if you like afterwards, and just really see all the magic everywhere. So anyway, Brandeis is wearing this, I would say it's a celadon and cocoa fully embroidered. It's a scallop embroidered, and what I used were 2 layers of ribbon on top of each other, so that you have the underneath ribbon outlining everything. And of course, it's all bronze and copper beaded on the bodice in this sort of satin charmeuse fabric, and it has a scallop hem. And she has on a lemon quartz chunky necklace by Wong, which is really very, very gorgeous. Very, very gorgeous. Okay, and Jessica has on this espresso chic dress, which has a ruched hand-draped bodice, and it's fully beaded with pearls and paillettes and 2-cut beads in bronze. And she has a necklace on by Wong, which is full of shells and beautiful sea pearls. Thank you, Jessica. Okay, so anyway, I'm going to really open up, or should I really talk about the house first? Yes.
I'm curious about the house. Do you have pictures of what it looked like many years ago and having refurbished it to?
Yes, I do have photos of it, but I'm putting an album together, so they're not available until I really finish. A lot of people really, when they walk in, they said, "Oh my God, did you really buy the house just like this?" And I have to say, absolutely not. There was hardly a